Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Lovingkindness Meditation here at the Dharma Temple online class. My name is Alex. It is wonderful to be here with you today. I'm, a little under the weather. Not COVID-y under the weather, but under the weather. That's okay. We can get through this. It's a good thing I'm at home, I guess, for this class. So it's wonderful to be here with you, sick or not. And I hope that you are all doing well and that all of you are safe. Thank you, Jean, for saying hello in the chat box. And if you're in the chat box, please just feel free just to say hi. I would love to hear from you. Okay, so for anybody who might be new, this class is one of loving kindness. We do a loving kindness meditation. The word that we talk about in Buddhism, when we're talking about loving kindness, is this word called metta, metta. And metta, is a really old word. And when it gets translated into English 2,500 years later, it could be a lot of different things. It could be loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill. And these different definitions they really come in handy depending on who we're doing this for. Really, it's just a wish to be happy. We want ourselves and we want others to not only be happy, but to do the things that cause happiness. And if you want to know what causes happiness, then you just need to know the motto of the Dharma Temple. The motto of the Dharma Temple is think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. And so these are the things that as Buddhists that we really try to do. We try to be positive in our actions, our words, our thoughts, and these things cause happiness. And if we're causing happiness, if we're doing things that cause happiness, that's going to reflect on everyone else as well. So we're not going to cause, insofar as we're not going to cause unhappiness to others. So hello to Tamara, and Gary and Trudy, hello, and to Brian and Linda, good to see you guys. So this seems to be our crew. Again, if there's anyone else here, please feel free just to say hi. I'd love to hear from you. As you know, as I kind of look through this here, the beloved Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh passed away a few days ago at the age of 95. He lived a long and quite an extraordinary life, and he had a stroke a few years ago, and that he lived so far past the time he had a stroke is really says something. And hi, Sherry, and so my heart goes out to anyone who might be suffering because of that. But the wonderful thing that I loved about Thich Nhat Hanh is he conveyed the Buddhist teachings in such a wonderful way. A way in which you're not going to suffer if you understand it correctly, in the way that you won't get attached, because that's the cause of suffering, is this attachment, this grasping and clinging to things. And I kind of like to read. This actually came from his website. I'm on his email list, and I kind of like to read this. And it says, death comes with his impressive scythe and says, "You should be afraid of me." I look up and ask, "Why should I be afraid of you?" "Because I will make you dead. I will make you non-existent." How can you make me non-existent? Death does not answer. He swings his impressive scythe. I say, "I come and I go. Then I come again. Then I go again. I always come back. You can neither make me exist nor not exist." "How do you know that you will come again?" Death asks. "I know because I have done that countless times," I say. "How do I know that you are telling me the truth? Who can be a witness? Death frowns. I touch the earth and say, the earth is my witness. She is my mother. Suddenly death hears the music. Suddenly death hears the birds singing from all directions. Suddenly death sees the trees blossoming. Earth makes herself apparent to death and smiles lovingly to him. Death melts in the loving gaze of earth. Oh, my beloved, touch the earth every time you get scared. Touch her deeply, and your sorrow will melt away. Touch her deeply, and you will touch the deathless. That's so absolutely beautiful. He keeps on saying, I cannot die. If I die, I only become another form. And then that form comes back and it changes and it keeps on changing and changing and changing. And, again, he conveys, and these are essentially the teachings of the Buddha, just conveyed in a way that, hopefully that are very gentle and that we can really understand. And that's really, really so quite beautiful. And, I was fortunate to be able to hear him speak maybe about 10 years ago or so, a few years before he had a stroke, or maybe it was maybe 2008, 9 or whatever. He was at the University of San Diego, and he was just giving a talk, and, so many people went to see him, and he's very, very calm and very, very deliberate and kind in his speech. And I think we could all, learn a lot from him. If you haven't been up to, actually, I've never been up to Plum Village or been up to Deer Park Monastery, which is up in Escondido. But yeah, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be up there in the next few weeks. But I think I'll wait. But if you want to go up there, you should definitely go up there and see kind of how he lives and how his monastics live. They're very wonderful and kind people. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate that. And so, let's go ahead and do this meditation on loving kindness. I don't think there's anyone who's brand new to meditation. If there is, you can always tell me, and I can always go over the instructions on seating and all that kind of stuff. I have no problem doing that. We have plenty of time here. So what I want to do is kind of get this timer ready. So before we do that, and, I understand there is a delay of about 10 or 20 seconds or something like that, between the time I speak and the time you hear me. So I do want to take just a couple of minutes out before we start our meditation. If anyone has any questions, any comments about what you're feeling, how your week is going, kind of anything you want to ask before we start our meditation, it's okay. Hi, Graham. Graham's joining us from Portland. Wonderful to have you, Graham. Thank you. We could just wait just like maybe 30 seconds before we start our meditation. So wonderful to see all these people here. And I wasn't surprised that he died, but 2022 is starting off with a bang, with people passing away. And, I guess it should be expected. We die all the time. People die all the time. But it was just with all the other things happening, it just, it kind of weighed on me a bit. And, and that's okay. All right. So it doesn't look like we have anything, and that's okay. So we'll go ahead and start our meditation. And so just before we start this, to anyone who might be new or relatively new here, we kind of do this in a little bit of a different way because I really like to focus on loving kindness for oneself because that is the most important thing that you can have. And that's the most difficult thing that we do as Westerners. If most of you are in America, as Americans, that's the really hard thing for us that we do. It's really, really, really hard for us, generally. So I like to do this in a very gentle way. So how we do it is we start with loving kindness for our benefactor. And again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness, and someone who's really easy to have these feelings for. And then after we do this for our benefactor, we're then going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And so since you already have that experience of your benefactor's loving kindness, this should be relatively simple. And so your only job really here in this part of the meditation is just to receive their loving kindness, just to receive it. And as well, just to kind of notice what's there. If there's any part of your heart that can't receive it all, any kind of tension or part of your heart that says, no, I can't accept all of this. And if something like that happens, don't be alarmed. That's okay. That's just your body trying to give you a message that says, hey, this part needs healing. So the only thing that you have to do is just kind of take a deep breath and maybe give that tension a little bit of space. And just keep on receiving it. It always helps to put your hand over your heart when you do this meditation as well. And then we're going to do the meditation for ourselves, right? And then after that, we'll do this practice for all beings in all directions. All right. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to guide it. So if you're worried about what am I going to do, don't worry. I'm going to guide this meditation. So let's get in our nice seated position. As I look in there, I look at like, oh, there's a salsa. All right. And so there's a couple people who just joined. So we're starting our meditation right now. Almost right now. We'll just do it right now. Here we go. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that nice and comfortable and sustainable position so you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And we can even imagine ourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath our own tree of enlightenment, ready for the days abiding. Because as the Buddha says, this is known to be the sublime abiding. And you can imagine yourselves as a Buddha, again, sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. And at first, let's just get, connected to the breath. Just taking a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing it, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural at first. Letting the breath nourish the body. Paying gentle attention to the breath at the base of the nostrils here, feeling the air go in and out as you breathe. And just let my words just kind of wash over you. Don't attach to them too much. Just do what you can. Be really easy and gentle with yourself. Now, whatever you're doing, no matter whatever part of this meditation that you're doing, you always want to maintain about 25% of your attention on the breath, because that'll keep you anchored to the present moment. If you have a thought that arises, you just notice it and you say to yourself, thinking, and come back to the breath. So just for the next few moments, just rest as gently as you can in the sensations of the breath. So to begin our meditation on loving kindness, we're going to start with a benefactor. And again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness, someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. And our only job is to just radiate loving kindness to this person. And however you understand that word radiate, just radiate loving kindness, wishing them happiness, wishing that they do the things that cause happiness. Or you can even say that, repeating these phrases over and over again. May you be happy. May you do the things that cause happiness. And you can, imagine a beam of loving kindness going from your heart to theirs, picturing them in your mind's eye. Smiling always helps. You can have more than one benefactor. They can be living, they can be not living. It doesn't matter. This is just how we train our heart, this heart training. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus from doing this practice for our benefactor to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And so we already have the experience of their love and their kindness in our own heart because we've been the benefactor of their kindness and generosity. So we already have that. And so picturing them, imagining them doing this practice for you, wishing you love and kindness, wishing you do the things that cause happiness. And your only job is just to receive all of it. And this is where smiling and putting your hand over your heart really can come in handy. Again, if there's a part of you that is resisting their love and kindness, that's okay. There's no need to freak out. Just breathe into it and see if you can just kind of give that tension a little bit of space to do whatever it's going to do, to relax and to soften. So we'll do this for the next few moments, imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And again, shifting our focus to what's probably the most important part of this meditation, which is loving kindness for oneself. And so just begin by thinking of your own wish to be happy, your own wish to be safe and healthy, to be free from danger, to be happy. It's a wish that everyone has for themselves. And you can either just imagine yourself radiating loving kindness back onto yourself, or you can just repeat phrases of loving kindness, which might be better in this particular situation. Just repeating one or more of the following phrases: may I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Don't worry, it's not over. That was just an interval bell. Sorry. We're still meditating. So now we'll just do this loving kindness for ourselves. And now finally, we can explore the limitless quality of the heart by doing this practice for all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. And just go out as far as you can go. And so we'll end this practice by doing loving kindness for all beings in all directions. Just open your eyes when you're ready. Let's just take the next couple of moments out in silence as we stretch our arms and we stretch our legs, and really trying to keep this mindfulness of loving kindness about us. As I adjust the light. If you have any questions or comments about anything about the meditation or anything you might be have a comment on or dealing with or anything like that, I'd love to hear it. Just let me know. Just pop it into the chat box and we'll go ahead and talk about that. Okay. So hopefully the instructions were relatively straightforward. Again, if you're relatively new here, we kind of do this meditation in a way that might be unconventional. If you have been doing this, how it's normally taught, I do this very purposefully, and it's for obviously for a very good reason. Just because we need, the more you can have loving kindness for yourself, the more that's going to benefit not only you but everybody else, but everybody around you. So that's why it's so important to do that. So again, if you have any questions on any the instructions or any part, if there's any part of the meditation or anything that you were kind of going through during the meditation, any part of your experience of meditation that you'd like to share, I would love to hear it. First of all, to Linda and Marcel, hello, thank you for joining us. Wonderful to have you both. But if there's any part that you would like to talk about, any part that was easy or difficult, with the loss of Thich Nhat Hanh, he was a really kind of a big deal in Buddhist circles. And, loss affects everybody. It affects me. I've gone through some loss recently other than that. And I think what's amazing, it's not amazing, it's just maybe amazing that I haven't maybe learned as much as I wanted to, but it still hurts. It still hurts. It's a heck of a lot better than it used to be before. But when you go through loss, you realize how much you were attached. You don't really realize how much you were attached to either a person or a situation until it really changes in a way that you didn't want it to change. And it's for me, it was definitely a change, but and this is not Thich Nhat Hanh, this is the other thing that I was kind of dealing with. But what I find very heartening is that the reaction is so much better than what it used to be. I mean, if something like this happened, earlier on in my sobriety or pre-sobriety, I would have just been an absolute mess. But I'm not an absolute mess. I'm fine. I'm going to be fine. Things hurt, but that's okay. And again, I have this practice to really, really thank for it. And I'm grateful that all of you are here and that you all seem to be doing well. But you also know what else I'm attached to. While we still wait for some questions or comments. And this is a silly thing, because we all just get annoyed by silly things. I live in a big condo complex up here in North County. There was this condo that went on the market condos go on the market. And then it went pending, like somebody had an offer in that was accepted. And then it went back on the market because apparently that didn't work out. And then they got another offer and it went pending again. And then that didn't work out and it went back on the market. And then another offer came in apparently and it went back pending. And since October, it's done this 7 times. Like 7 times. I don't know why that does the noise of living daylights out of me. But I don't think that I should get Redfin notifications anymore. So there you go. All right. So other than that silliness, Brian and Linda had something very serious. I was brought up to believe when death occurs, consciousness is extinguished. Jeff gave a beautiful analogy yesterday of no birth, no death, that like a cloud, we are transformed, which is very much what Thich Nhat Hanh, that's his teaching. Now, my question is, after death of the physical body, do Buddhist teachings suggest that the conscious mind continues as we know it, or is the essence of the deceased, or is the essence of the deceased that continues on through our memory of them? This is where I have to be really, really careful because that's an amazing question. Especially an amazing question after something like this happens and you kind of listen to these teachings because, if you grew up in the United States, obviously you probably grew up some form of Christian. And, they have their own teachings, and I was kind of like that. They have their own teachings of eternalism and various kind of, manifestations of that. And then, there's like atheism, which is the exact opposite of that. They think absolutely, the religious people think that there's this soul that continues after death, and then you get reincarnated. Atheists think there's absolutely nothing that happens, and then that's that. And so when this question was brought up to the Buddha, they asked him to take a position, and the Buddha stayed silent. He said, "No, I'm not taking a position." So, does consciousness exist, or does it like continue after death and that what gets reincarnated? Because they're asking, well, if there's reincarnation, if there's rebirth, what he's saying, what gets reborn? And he stayed silent. Because these two extremes of what he calls extremes of eternalism and nihilism, they just cause suffering. And he doesn't want you to suffer. That's why he doesn't take a position. And this is a really hard lesson to learn. And so that's why, when you hear a Thich Nhat Hanh give a teaching like that about, it's a cloud, and then the cloud, it rains, and then the rain nurtures the plants, but the cloud still continues in some form or another. And it will always continue in some form or another. And so this is just another way to get you to not be attached to a particular form. Right? Because it's just going to cause a whole lot of suffering. Right? And, this is a really hard, a really difficult lesson because he's saying, hey, there's nothing to hold on to in either one of these extremes. And to him, they were extremes because they cause suffering. They cause like a thicket of views, he says. And, the Buddhist teachings are to let go of all of that and just to concentrate on what's happening now. Because that is the most important thing that you will ever have to deal with is what's happening right now. And a lot of people don't like or didn't like, certainly then, that he didn't take a position. He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. And so you're kind of standing there going, well, what the F should I believe? Yeah, and that's the problem. Basically saying when you're asking yourself, well, what should I believe? You're saying, what should I hang on to? And the Buddha is saying, there's nothing to hang on to. No birth, no death, no nothing, like a cloud. You can't hang on to it. You can't hang on to anything. because hanging on causes suffering. And, Thich Nhat Hanh just had his own way of, dealing with that. That's hard. Because isn't that what we're all trying to do? We want something to believe. We want this firm ground to stand on that says, this is the truth. This is what happens when you die. Or this is the truth of existence. This is the truth of this, or this is the truth of that. And I'm going to hang on to that. And this is the truth. And that's just, what I'm going to believe. And so I can be happy. But it causes the exact opposite of happiness. And that's kind of what we call dogmatism. When you make things like dogmatic, you try to make it solid and firm and something that you can hang on to. But as soon as you start to hang on, you're going to suffer. And so that's, again, a really difficult teaching, just to kind of ingest and just to kind of absorb and try to understand. And so that's what all of these teachings of the Buddha are designed to do, to get you to not suffer, to get you to understand that when you hang on to something, you're suffering, even if it sounds good. And also what's interesting is that, when we talk about consciousness, the Buddha talks about, thank you for that. I just got your messages. And the thing about, when we talk about the 5 aggregates of suffering, the 5 things that make you or me, aggregates subject to clinging, the things that we cling to. The last one is consciousness. So consciousness is just something to hold on to and to cling to, about what happens to our consciousness, and and other things like Christ consciousness or Krishna consciousness. It's just something to hang on to. And it really works for a lot of people, and good for you. And that's fantastic. But the Buddhist teachings are, no, you're not hanging on to anything, and I'm not going to let you, because that's what causes happiness. It's just that it goes against everything that we've been taught, everything that we have learned about anything ever, especially from like a spiritual religious standpoint. These teachings go against all of our natural tendencies. And that's also kind of what makes them a little bit difficult. But I love it, because I can see in my own experience, when I don't hang on to something, I feel so much better about it. When I don't hang on to anger or a person or a situation, I feel so much better. And, and then I'll just kind of end with this, is that so often, and I've mentioned this before in the Buddhist teachings, we're trying to describe to you happiness. We're trying to describe to you nirvana, which is like, the unconditioned. But we're trying to do it with language, which is inherently conditioned. And so you can't do it. You can like throw the whole dictionary at something, and it will just fall woefully short of trying to describe nirvana about what it is. So Buddhism takes a different path, and we just talks about, we can't tell you what it is because it's conditioned thinking, and we're trying to describe the unconditioned. We could just try to tell you what it's not. No birth, no death, no aging, no consciousness, no this, no that, no. And then when you take away all of that, what do you have left? That's why in Buddhism, this word nirvana, which is like the ultimate enlightenment, the thing that we're kind of eventually striving for, means unbinding. We're not bound to the fires of suffering, the fires of clinging and grasping. So we try to describe nirvana as things that it's not. So when you hear like Thich Nhat Hanh And this is a teaching from something called the Heart Sutra. Maybe you've heard of the Heart Sutra. I don't know. And the Heart Sutra says, nope, no birth, no death, no aging, no illness, no death, blah, blah. Nope, 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 nobody, nope, nope, nope. None of that. And, so it's a wonderful teaching. And if you read the Heart Sutra, it's like, it'll take you like 2 minutes max. It's so short. But it's said to comprise the entirety of the Buddha's teachings. Okay, anything else we got? Every time I do this, I'm not going to start yapping. I'm just going to wait for questions and see what people have to say. But, when you get me on a question, I'll just start yapping. Awesome. That's okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for being here. It's wonderful to be here with you. It's wonderful to do all these classes for you guys online, in person. Same. It's fine. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. I'll be fine. I actually feel better now. So I hope you're all well. Let's join our palms together. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefit of this meditation, this discussion, be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace and joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. And may all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye now.